Hello, welcome back to my channel. As always, I'm Brad, and thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you're new here, I'm an illustrator and an animator with over 20 years experience in the animation industry. And in today's video, we're talking about how to draw facial features for your character designs and comic art. So if you're new here, please subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll keep making videos like this for you. In a previous video, one of my viewers requested that I show a little more detail on how to draw the individual facial features, eyes, nose, mouth, and hair as well, I figured. So in today's video, that's what we're doing, and we're going to start with the eye. Now, what is the eye? Really, it's just a ball sitting in the sockets of our skull. And that's what I'm starting with here. A rough eyeball sitting in a rough eye socket or skull socket. I'll go ahead and just add the other eye and eye socket here, just for good measure. Obviously the eyeball doesn't simply hover there, it's held in place by muscle and connective tissue, but for our drawing's sake, it's just going to hover. Now, when drawing the eyelid, it's important to remember that it is wrapping around a ball. We only see the front curve of the eyeball, and that's where the skin of the eyelid will wrap around it. So when your eyelids are closed, they almost perfectly cover the rounded shape of your eye. However, when your eyelids are open, they will create folds in the skin that wrap around the upper area of the eyeball just below the eyebrow. And of course, the older we get, the thinner our skin gets, causing more and more wrinkles and lines and folds around the eyes. So if you're designing an older character, the more lines you put around the eyes, the more it ages the character. Now, let's try a few variations of different eyes and eye shapes. But to do that, we're going to need a few different heads, because every face needs a head. But a head can come in vastly different shapes, and those head shapes should be based on the character's age, personality, stature, things like that. And these factors will determine the face shapes as well. This shape will be our standard heroic male type character. This shape will obviously be our traditional female character or comic book character. Notice the larger eyes, smaller chin, and just softer features. Now, the head shapes below are very different, as you can see. These shapes are determined on the character's age, weight, personality, even design style. And those various character traits will greatly affect the facial features of each of the characters. An older character will have a longer, thinner face with smaller, deep-set eyes, whereas by contrast, a very young character or child will have a small chin, large head, and very large eyes. Now, let's take a look at our traditional heroic male character again, and let's give it a little more detail so we can get a better idea of his nose shape. Notice the bridge of the nose always connects and flows downwards from the brow line, the brows almost slightly converging on the edges of the top of the nose bridge. If I were to flatten this facial shape all out and get rid of these details and features, then we might end up with a shape much like this. The underside of the brow, nose, and upper lip are often in shadow and tend to be much darker than the rest of the face. So, I've covered the Andrew Loomis style of drawing the front view of the head before, but let's try it again and focus on the placement of the eyes and the nose this time. As always, I start with a circle, slice off the sides, and have a direct center line going vertically and horizontally, directly through the center of the circle. The horizontal line is going to be my brow line. The eye line will be just below that. And notice the nose rests at the base of that circle. As I continue, I'll wrap the eyelids around the eyeballs, and do you notice that the width of the eye is the exact distance between the eye? In fact, that distance between the eyes almost lines up perfectly to the size of the base of the nose. Now these are just some basic facial drawing design rules, but like all rules, they're meant to be broken, and you can draw and design a face pretty much in any way that you choose, as long as things sort of line up proportionally. Now, let's take another look at that nose and get a view from the side, or profile view. And here's how that would look. I'll go ahead and add the rest of the face and the head just so you can see how everything lines up and works together in the profile. Notice the shape of the eye in profile. We're only going to see a slice of the eyelid being opened. And to me, it almost reminds me of the shape of Pac-Man with his mouth wide open. If you look at the mouth in profile, notice that the upper lip comes forward more than the lower lip. You could almost draw a straight line from the tip of the nose down to the chin. That line could be a really good reminder of lip and nose placement when you're drawing a profile face. Now, let's say you need to draw an open mouth. Well, you wouldn't simply lower the chin, because the jaw actually hinges just below the ears and swings downward to open. If we were to look at the skull in profile, then it would look just like this. Now let's look at a 3/4 front face looking slightly downward and see how that affects the features. Remember to try to imagine the head and face as a 3D object. Notice in this head view, we're not going to see much of the upper eyelids because that will be hidden by the brow line. And we're not going to see the bottom portion of the nose or the upper lip. Let's look at the open mouth from this angle. Remember, hinging the jaw just below the ears, and the mouth swings open from the jaw hinge. And that would look something like this. Now remember, many of these rules are simple guidelines meant to be applied to a more realistic character design. If you're going for something very stylized or cartoony, then there's really no end to the unique stylized ways that you could design the face. Well, I think that wraps up everything for today's video. I will be adding a part 2 next week where I look at the female facial features as well as designing hair. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the video, and tell me what you want to see me do more of. All the best, and I'll see you in the next one.